Hi, this is Nate Schulte, and I'd like to welcome you all to another episode of Discovering Battles with Nate. I know it's been a long time since I've been doing one of these episodes, but I've been a little busy with some of the other projects I have going on, but I'm not going to get into details with that. Today is December 10th, and tomorrow will be the anniversary of one of the battles the battle that I'm about to tell you about, which is the Battle of Fredricksburg, which took place in Fredericksburg, Virginia, December 11th through the 13th, 1862. If I am not mistaken, it was in Virginia. And it happened near the Rappahannock River. But we're going to go, which is over in Virginia, as I recently stated, but aside from that. The major generals for this battle was Robert E. Lee, commander of the Confederate forces. He had 78,000 men under his command, while Major General Ambrose Everett Burnside had 116,683 men. Now what happened was this took place after Antietam, and they wanted President Lincoln decided to fire McClellan, and he needed to find a suitable replacement. And the Union forces were wanting to actually try and see if they could end the war sooner, but unfortunately it didn't work. But what happened was that on November 21st, 1862, Longstreet arrived at Fredericksburg near the river, and he was holding on there for a little bit. What happened was Union forces wanted to attack, but the river was too high, and so they needed what were called pontoons to get them across. Now, they needed 3 pontoons to cross the river. 2 of them would be about a mile and a half below Fredericksburg. But on December 11th, bridges had to be built because of the pontoons and stuff. They had to really hurry it up there because they wanted to get across the river. But while they were being built, this alerted the rebel forces here, and then they used snipers to actually shoot upon them and also to fire upon while they were being built. And 5 miles behind the town, Longstreet, also along with Stonewall Jackson and a lot of other regiments, had positions at Mary's Corner near Hamilton Crossing. What they wanted to do was, in case the Union forces were able to cross the river here and manage to capture the town, they would have wanted to try and finish off the Confederate forces here, but little did they know that was going to be a suicide thing. But Longstreet was dug in at Taylor's Hill and Mary's Heights and Telegraph Hill, but Stonewall was near Hamilton Crossing, near a railroad, and there was wooded slopes there. Now, for slopes, the big problem there is that, as I mentioned in Milton's Bend battle, that those could be slippery if it's all muddy and stuff. You will have a hard time getting over to accomplish the target and all. And not to mention the fact you're sitting duck while you're struggling. But Barksdale, whose Mississippi men were reinforced by some of the Florida men, were scattered around in Fredericksburg. They used brick houses and rifle pits. Now, for brick houses, that's cover because hopefully it's thick enough that if anything was to fire upon you, you would actually have good cover there. With snipers, they usually say 1 shot, 1 kill. Well, it's a very dangerous job to do because if you screw up just 1 time and the enemy sees you, you're pretty much good as gone. That's why you gotta actually stay hidden when you shoot. But at 12:30 on the 11th, 147 cannons fired from Stafford Heights towards the Confederate forces near Fredericksburg. And as I stated, there was sniper fire coming from there onto the Union forces, as I mentioned. But by the 13th, General Meade, who was later destined to lead the Union forces at the Battle of Gettysburg, what happened was his man attacked near Hamilton Crossing, but the rebels ended up counterattacking. So they attacked, but then there was more rebel forces, driving them back. That took a lot of casualties. And by 11 a.m. that day, there was corner rebel artillery was firing at wave after wave of Union forces. So no matter how many times they advanced, the Union forces were pretty much defeated. It was a suicide run. And with artillery firing upon you, if you're an infantryman, just like what happened at Gettysburg during Pickett's charge, you better find covers fast because artillery is more, the firepower is more severe. And with severe firepower upon you, more casualties. By the time of the 14th, Burnside realized that it was a disaster, and he decided to, just go to their winter quarters. So it was pretty much better off just going. Even though the pontoon boats didn't get finished, but still, they had to use some of the pontoons and go across. The casualties for this battle for the Union was 1,284 men were killed, 9,600 were wounded, 1,769 were missing in action or captured. Confederates, even though they had less men and they were outnumbered by the Union forces, their casualties were not as severe. There were 608 killed, 4,116 were wounded, and 653 missing in action or captured. So my conclusions for this battle is that General Lee was very well prepared, even though Stonewall Jackson was not very fortified or dug in. But all the other forces here were actually dug in and they were ready. Now, despite the fact they better have the high ground, but there are some disadvantages with using a cannon on high ground. Your cannon can only stay a certain level, and you better be able to have it at a level or level it where you're able to still do damage to your enemy. Because you could do straight out, and if it's on a slope and you got enemy forces coming towards you, you better have some infantrymen to finish off those that are in the front. My sources for this battle are John MacDonald's Great Battles of the Civil War, with a foreword by John Kagan. The Civil War, A Military History by Kevin J. Daughtry and John D. Wright. And now for a new source that I am using, I actually have some maps, or a sketch that I got this from. The sketch I got was from Great Maps of the Civil War, Pivotal Battles and Campaigns, featuring 32 removable maps. A museum and a book by William J. Miller. Since it's the holiday season, I wish you all, my subscribers, a very safe holiday season. If you're Jewish, happy Hanukkah. If you celebrate Kwanzaa, happy Kwanzaa to you. For those of you who are a Christian, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.